Having the airlines lose your luggage can be so stressful and very inconvenient. And maybe this is a concern of yours and you worry about this every time you travel. Well, there are 4 ways to prevent lost luggage. Take a listen. Is fear holding you back from traveling because you don't have anyone to go with? Are you concerned about being a woman traveling alone and not sure how to prepare for a solo trip? Do family and friends think you are crazy for even considering solo travel? Well, in this podcast, you will become equipped to travel safely by yourself. You'll learn things like tactical travel tips and how to prepare for a trip and how to overcome the fear so you can discover the transformation that travel can bring. My mission is to see more women over 50 discover how travel can empower them. If you want to enjoy your next travel adventures solo, then start your journey here. Hello, sister travelers. I'm Cheryl, solo travel advocate and travel coach. I have experienced life-changing adventures through travel, and I want the same for you. So stay tuned here every week, and you will learn to find freedom through your travels, build your confidence while safely navigating new places. Is losing your luggage a worry? Well, you're not alone. Now, in 2022, mishandled luggage doubled versus any previous years, according to The Guardian, especially when you're talking about international flights. And although the stats come out to being less than 2% of all bags went missing, it still can be a real inconvenience if this does happen to you. There's time spent trying to recover what you've lost, waiting at the airport. But I'm here to tell you there are 4 ways that we can try to negate this and try to prevent this from happening, or at least minimize it from happening. It's no guarantee, of course, because losing our luggage is really up to the airlines, and often we don't have any control over that. But there are some ways to help prevent that. So number 1 way to help prevent lost luggage is you need to arrive early enough at the airport, especially if you are checking a bag. Now, if you're not checking a bag, we're going to look at point number 2 in a moment. But if you are, and listen, I have had to check bags, and I've also I do carry-ons. So I've done both, and it really depends on where I'm traveling to, the season, because if I'm going somewhere and it's winter and I need to pack sweaters and boots and, bulky jackets, then I'm likely going to need to pack a suitcase. And it's all good. Everybody has their method of traveling. Some women will just do a suitcase. They want to be able to take everything that they want to take. And that's perfectly fine. Just know if you are checking a bag, arrive early enough to the airport. Now, that's also a little challenge for myself. I know I need to arrive early, especially international flights. You need to get there early enough for yourself, because I don't like waiting in the airport any longer than I have to. But I understand the need to get there early and making sure my bag gets checked and gets on the flight that I'm going on. Now, number 2, if you are not checking a bag, you want to make sure the size fits in an overhead bin. Now, in America, I believe our overhead bins seem to be much bigger than many other airlines. So if you are flying international, you may want to check. And if you're doing maybe a local flight somewhere, their restrictions and their parameters are likely very different than the US. So you want to check to make sure you have the appropriate size luggage or carry-on. If you're not checking a bag and you're putting it in the overhead bin, make sure it's not too big, because if it is, they're going to make you check it at the gate there, or at the side of the plane, before they take off, right? So make sure it fits. If it's big, they're going to make you check that. And board early too. As we know, if you're like one of the last ones to board, those overhead bins get filled up quickly because everybody likes to bring their luggage on the plane. It is more convenient. It makes for a quicker exit and not having to wait at baggage claim. So make sure you are, if you are flying, for example, if you're flying Southwest in the U.S., there's, you just got to make sure when it's 24 hours and you are ready to check in, that you are ready to check in, because you get put into one of those last groups and those overhead bins are likely going to be full. So get boarded early and check the size of the overhead bins. Number 3, best thing to do is to fly nonstop. It is often true that luggage that is being transferred, and especially if they have such a short amount of time, and you never know what's going to happen. Maybe your flight in is, it's taking longer or got delayed, so that minimizes or that shortens your time between transfers. And it sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge for the airlines to get that luggage on your plane in time. Just think about it. If you are running for your flight or your gate in between flights, the chances of your luggage making it are going to be a little rough, right? So making sure you try to fly direct if possible. Now, I know sometimes flying international, we have longer layovers in other cities, so that's usually sufficient amount of time for your bag to get to that next leg of your flight. So just think about that. Number 4, many people are starting to use these, but they don't prevent your luggage from being lost, but they can help you track or find it. Use AirTags. A lot of people have started to use those. They are a great resource. I know that I've heard a story where, particularly when Amsterdam had that, I think it was last year, they had that horrible, all this luggage that got packed, just piled up. And I know a gentleman had shown like, hey, I can see where my luggage is. And it actually helped the attendant go to the right area, because there's many different areas, I'm sure, where they have luggage stored that was lost or just, just mishandled, I should say. So it can help in that way, but it's obviously not going to prevent your luggage from being lost, but it could be a great resource to use just in case your luggage does happen to get misplaced. So those are the 4 ways to kind of help prevent or at least minimize that lost luggage issue. Now, I will add a little caveat here. I always recommend, even if you're checking a bag, you always want to carry in your carry-on or your backpack, whatever you're carrying on, a handful of essentials. Those being, your toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, a change of clothes, at minimum, at least a pair of socks, underwear, change of that or maybe a change of a t-shirt in your carry-on, so that if by chance your suitcase does get lost or delayed in getting to you, you have something to change into. You also have sort of those essentials just to get by until that luggage does arrive or gets back to you. Well, stay tuned. One more Friday, folks. This Friday is the last Friday in my June series of summer travel tips. And I hope you've enjoyed the past 4 weeks. We do have 5 Fridays in June, so you are getting an extra bonus here in this June month. And I hope you're enjoying it. And if you have any recommendations for topics that you want to have talked about on my show, please go to my SpeakPipe and leave that message there for me to get. All right. Hey, sister travelers. Did this podcast inspire and encourage you or move you to get out there and travel? Wonderful. There are 3 ways you can thank me. First one is leave a written review for the show on Apple Podcast. 2, share the show with your sister travelers, your friends, your family. And 3, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And thank you again for listening to the show. Sisters, be fearless, take the leap, and get out there and have an adventure.